Are you now ready to meet the child in you in this recollection? I am Kuya Mel, and here at the St. Hosea Hermitage, we facilitate you in your journey of discovering and becoming your real self, where the sacred dwells. In our contemplation, we honor this sacred child within, calling each of us to recall, remember, be inspired, and be moved. Yes, all of us has the orphan in us. Minsan sa ating buhay, naranasang maging ulila. A newly born infant, when left in a crib for a minute or more, will cry out, reaching for the mother's embrace, needing a sense of security. This infant is vulnerable to elements left on its own without caregiver. Swerte mo kung lumaki kang may nag-aaruga. But as we grew up, the child in us seek for more. When deprived and taken for granted, the orphan emerged. That dark moment gripped a child's mind, clenched by a fear of uncertainties, is burned by the conscious mind, suppressed, not realizing that its emergence serves as survival mechanism embedded deep in our collective psyche. Hindi man matanggap, this orphan archetype has a function to protect the self. An orphan child that has survived abandonment is a powerful image. This child must really be blessed, not just lucky. Myths have spoken about this child, from an ancient story of Romulus and Remus abandoned on the bank of Tiber River to die but instead saved by a she-wolf, to a modern tale of Tarzan who as a child who survived a plane crash was saved and adopted by apes. The scripture also tells us about Joseph, betrayed by his brothers and sold as slaves, found his way to Egypt where he thrived, won the respect of Pharaoh, and saved Egypt from famine. Magnanimously forgave his brothers and reunited with his father. And many more stories of heroes from childhood abandonment able to prevail and survive the harsh realities of life. This orphan and abandoned, let ourselves embrace this child when no one could. And as we embrace this child, give hope and strength. Our gaze turns to others with empathy, bringing them hope. Yes, we were once abandoned and we know how it feels. And as we rise, we raise those who fall. And together we rise up again. These are stories that give hope to a people, especially those living in dire living condition. Wherever we are or where we came from, we are amazed and touched by stories of survival of young children. Look at the face of children that suffered wars and famines. Let us now look into our own selves, looking at the child within us, how this child was abandoned. Just close your eyes and bring yourself to that significant memories of separation as a child. What loss you experience? What is that longing to belong? How you experience it? And bring to your consciousness these memories from childhood. Now, bring yourself to the present and how you continue to experience the loss, the longing to belong, and the abandonment. What has become of you? With this in mind, draw or paint an image of this child. Write your reflection. Feel free to call me in case you need someone to listen to and give you feedback on your artwork and reflection. And to encourage you do your artwork, I will also share my own artwork and share with you the journey of the orphan within me. I drew a symbol of myself. The shades of green symbolizes my hands raised up as if asking for help. The shades of yellow were divine interventions, and the shades of violets are the darkness in my childhood when I felt neglected and violated. Home was my safe haven. The bullying outside was distressing for a young mind. The most distressing experience as a child was that first experience of separation that I remember. That was my first day in school. Worried that my mom has to leave me behind. Unlike other children, my first schoolmates, I was brave not to cry. I remember looking with confusion at my classmates who were crying. Maybe because my parents trained me to be on my own, yet with loving assurance that they are around, trusting my mom will not abandon me. But I remember one time when I cried when she came late in picking me up after school. Not that I was scared that she won't pick me up, because I know for sure that she is coming to pick me up. I cried because I was so upset and irritated as I grew up, I realized how lucky I was when other children are less fortunate. My first experience of abandonment was actually an experience of betrayal. Not from my immediate family, but from my lola and my siblings. At a young age, alone with my younger siblings at home, my parents were away to visit my dad's mother. Then suddenly my lola, together with my mom's siblings, tried to evict us from our house. Would you imagine? Your own grandmother tried to evict their grandchildren ages 16, 15, and 14 from their house without their parents? Imagine how it affected young minds like ours when adults who were supposed to care for us treated us as strangers. My own grandmother? My relatives? My uncles and my aunties? To find peace, prayers were my recourse aside from the loving assurance from my parents. Since then, I look at my relatives with distrust. I become sensitive and alert too, that even those close to you can betray you. Thank goodness my parents never betrayed my trust, ever supportive and protective of us, their children. Maybe this trust they implanted in my soul was a seed for me to pray and yearn for my grandma's change of heart. And thanks to my mom that despite the cruelty of my lola to us, my mom never forbid us to see our lola. The innocent child in me was forgiving despite the hurt, still wanting to see my lola. And I believe that the innocence in me indeed softens my lola's heart. And finally, a bridge to reconcile my mom to her mother. I know my lola, in her anger with my mom, did a horrible outburst. Her transformation, though, made me believe she was sorry. How about you? What is your story?